but the energy has just been too amazing that we said, hey, the world needs to see this. So we rolled this baby out for the whole world right now, whether you registered or not. Welcome. This is a moment for us all. And wow, we have got the wind really blowing here, so much so that tells you the power of what's happening. And, you know, the water is speaking. It's saying, give me back to the earth. Let me be. And we had a big gust of wind come, and a lot of people are going to help right now. What you heard was what's going to be coming up next, these wonderful water demonstrations. And the wind came in and said, we are one, because Mother Gaia has been speaking all weekend. And that's another one of her signs saying, yes, it is the app. Whoa, here it comes. Alexander, who's been here all weekend, if you were with us this morning, Alexander Padilla, who is our lead ceremonist, the wind is his element. And so the fact that we just finished Panchamanka and that the wind and the water have met seemed like the perfect way to begin.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because when we get down to basics, which if you're going to be reborn, if you're going to claim a new life, we have to first go back to what's fundamental.
Right.
And then that's the platform upon which we create that which we're here to create.
Yes.
Well, the fundamentals happen to be the elementals, do they not? The earth, the sky, I mean, the air, the water, the sun. When we look at those elements and how they interact in our life, meaning, can you gaze at the sky and see through to the universe and feel charged? Can you breathe in the air and feel the life-supporting energy of the air? When you drink water, do you realize and feel how it is hydrating you and sustaining this very vessel?
Yeah.
It's really important that we scroll back and appreciate the fundamental elemental pieces that support our life. And then, of course, our consciousness will dance and create art and beauty and community, as long as the fundamentals are in place and loved and respected. And so one of the things our Kanyari brethren have brought forward today for us is that deep respect for Mother Earth, the deep respect for the water and the wind, as we began with today, the wind and the air and the vitality that comes. And we are living at the intersection of all of these gifts.
Breathe that in. You know, really breathe that in. The majesty, the beauty, the conscious awareness of the miracle of what we are, and the expression of this incredible illusion into a planet of form. In this moment right now, on this day of balance, our mother is calling out to us and saying, hey, guess what? It's my time. And because it's my time, I've raised you well, now go out and do me proud, kind of thing. The beautiful Mother Gaia is looking at us and saying, do what you know how to do. You are ready. The world is ready. And before we go any further, speaking of this world, my heart wants to really go out to all of you that are awake and with us all around the globe right now. Many of you have been writing us during the break. I went ahead and checked in on some of you. I actually put on this mala for the group of you that's over there in Turkey right now. I don't know if you're the same group that sent this to me, but this was sent to me from a beautiful group that works with us in Turkey. And so thank you, and a shout out to all of you that are in Turkey. Thank you, and a shout out to all of you that are coming to us from India, coming to us from Nepal, coming to us from Russia. I'm trying to remember them all. Hungary, Hungary, Ireland, in UK, I guess not England, UK. I said
it's fine.
And a lot of other countries I'm forgetting right now. I just wanted to take a moment and say thank you. Yeah. And really thank you for being here with us, because this is the essence of this weekend. It is all about the oneness energy. And in that oneness, you might be noticing this graphic. Hopefully you're noticing it. If you're on our email list, you already received this one. But what this graphic is showing you is it's really just a depiction of the Ganga as this feminine energy in harmony with this beautiful Amazonian energy that has come in now to be this anchor. And in order for that anchor to really be sustained, it means that all of our love, all of our attention, all of our presence needs to return to the water. We all are at a moment where a precious resource that matters, that does everything we're all talking about, it actually does, is in calling out to all of us and saying, as you flow, so shall I. As I flow, so are you. We are one. Are we not most of this physical body? Is it not water? This is our moment to honor the greatest gift of all, the gift of our temple and the temple that sustains the temple. That is the essence of our multidimensional awareness, is it not? To be able to see that which so many fail to even perceive, to be one with the flow as the flow is with us. And that is where I like to use the T word, and the T word's trust. Because when the trust comes in, the flow amplifies. And the trust comes from that absolute anchorship of your own mastery, whereby there is such a great clarity that that which is not aligned does not even enter your vision. And so it's just click, 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 click. And those clicks brought us to this moment. They brought us to the WWA Global Festival as it is today, this micro festival, as we've all been giggling about it, with what's been going on here at Tosa Blue Mountain and what's going on there in your living room, there in your community, there where you are with us right now. It brings us to a moment of introduction that is so beautifully orchestrated by the universe that you just couldn't make it up. I mean, really, right?
Right. We talk about synchronistic intersections of paths and purposes. We are delighted to be sharing one of those synchronicities now.
And you know, this synchronicity came from a recent guest who, talk about a return. This guest who was here recently, Midge, hey, shout out to Midge. We appeared, Midge was a producer. She brought us, up to Idaho.
In, or 5?
I don't know, but she even brought me the original video. And we appeared, she brought us up to Idaho. We did the appearance and had a lovely, wonderful engagement with her. Well, due to a whole series of synchronicities with her, she wound up back here at Tosa Blue Mountain all these years later, only about a few months ago, maybe about 4 or 5 months ago. An instant reconnection, an instant, everything's reconnecting, everything's coming back together. Through that connection and her connection with WWA, it brought us to a connection that she had previously made. And so all these circles are coming together. All these fabulous, empowered, roaring women are saying yes and coming together in alignment, coming together in the highest aspiration of the all, which is the co-created beauty that together we are better. When we sit at the master's table, each recognizing each being's incredible gifts, we become that which we have prayed for. We are that which we are waiting for. We are. And in the we are, it brought a phone call into my life, a Zoom call that I will never forget because it was love at first sight with the amazing Jane Britton and the amazing Erin Tabenberg. Thank you. Forgive me. These two women that you are about to spend time with are so accomplished that I could sit here and just read bios all day, but we know bios are words and you can find them at thewaterbearers.org and go read them. But what matters more in this moment are that these two women came together back in 2015 with a clear vision that was based in heart, based in sincerity, based in love, based in presence, and they are making a difference in a way that we all bow before. And so without further ado, you need to meet these two women. So please, come on up.
Let's go.
All right. Welcome.
Thank you.
Oh my goodness. Jane Britton,
I'm gonna check
Erin
the camera.
Tabenberg. We are so blessed to have you here. And
Fantastic.
I want to sit in the audience and hear what you have to say.
Well, first of all, thank you, because it really was a synchronistic turn of events that about 10 days ago got us connected, and here we are. When you say yes to the flow and you trust in your heart, you trust in the flow of water, magic happens.
It certainly does. Erin flew in from California to be here. I actually live in Ecuador. I live an hour away. So that was a synchronistic moment anyway. But speaking of water, water spoke to both of us and in such a profound way. We just came up with the Water Bearers is our organization. And because, we see so many, in our travels, we see so many women walking miles to get water with the jug on their head, the buckets on their head, and realizing that, well, what could we do about this? So we said, let's start a 30-day marketing campaign for World Water Day. The Water Bearers wasn't anything. It was a name. We didn't have a bank account. We didn't have a nonprofit. So we hooked up with another organization, Waves for Water.
A friend of mine who's been doing this work for many years. It's a bunch of surfers. So typically, usually a bunch of guys going around and helping communities, which was great. Because again, we just had this idea and we're listening to the water.
So that first 30-day campaign that we invited 100 women from around the world to help us fundraise. And so it became so successful. We managed to reach 320,000 people with clean water in 30 days, with Waves for Water being able to implement the program. But when we started traveling with them, because this, took on a little bit, we realized that it needed to be the women. We needed to, not the surfer boys, they're doing a great job, but we needed to connect with the women who are fetching the water.
Well, what they were used to doing was going into the villages and saying who's in charge, and who was in charge was usually a man, and second in charge was his son. And so the men would all come in to learn this filtration system, and the women we noticed were outside of the hut. And as women, whose mission it was to inspire women who had access to clean water to get it to those that don't, it just immediately did not feel right that the women were outside of the hut. So we said, okay, time out, come on in. And even that shift of the women standing in front of the community was palpable. Like you could just see there was all of a sudden, there was pride and there was like, should I be standing here? And we were like, yeah, you stand right here. You are the ones caring for your village. You are the ones caring for your children. You stand right here, and we're going to stand right next to you, and we're going to teach you, and the men are going to get to watch. And so we realized pretty soon that we were doing things a little bit differently than how they had been done. And that's, I think, really what propelled us to continue listening to the water and continue the Water Bearers, which has now been in 33 countries. Around the world.
Countries. And it's just, I hope you'll join us tomorrow for the workshop at 12 o'clock Central. And we're going to show you how we do it. We're going to show you the magic of the physical. We've already had the spiritual magic that already hit us over the head, that we had to do this. So now we're teaching people the practical. There's no reason why 2 billion people don't have clean water around the world. There is no reason, because we have simple solutions, very simple solutions, and they're just not being utilized.
Yeah.
So we have to come together. Women have to come together to help share this blessed water that we have, to get it to other women that do not have access to clean water. Think they walk all those miles 3 or 4 times a day, and some of the children are 7 years old, little girls. They can't go to school because they have to fetch water. That's wrong.
And it's been so beautiful to see that when we provide these filtration systems, when we provide, whether it's a borehole rain catchment system inside of a village, all of the ripple effects that then start to happen. When somebody has access to water that's a few minutes away, no longer is it hours that they're going to fetch the water. Those girls then have an opportunity to be in school where they didn't before. They're no longer cutting down trees because they don't have to boil the water. So there's a whole cascade of ripple effects that happen when you provide somebody with access to clean water. Not only is it the love, because the donations that we get are from the heart. They're inspired by divine sharing, I would say, understanding the blessing of water. So when we show up, we're showing up with everybody who has donated and everybody has given. And those women and those children and even those men, I think, feel it, and they're somehow reborn. They somehow have a different outlook on life from something as simple as water.
And our team, you're looking at our team.
But our team is growing. Look at this team growing around the world, all of you.
But I think our team is every person who donates to the Water Bearers because you become a water bearer. That is your gift to water, to us all.
Yeah. And if nothing else, even if you're not able to donate, it costs $50. That's it for one filtration system that can last 10 years in a village of 100 people. So it's not much. Every drop counts. But even if the monetary isn't something that's available for you to share, it's about the love. So we always, when we leave, we always learn a water blessing, and we always make sure on the buckets that we leave for the love of water.
And we
We
thank
just-
Pachamama for the water. When we're with indigenous tribes,
Yeah.
always, we remind them where water comes from.
So even if it's just, you've got a glass of water and you appreciate it and you say thank you as you drink it down today, tonight, this morning, wherever you are, you're becoming a water bear. You're becoming a sacred guardian of the waters and our connection to each other, to all the elements. So we really look forward to being with you tomorrow at 12, sharing more stories. We're going to have a woman named Precious joining us from Zimbabwe, who was the recipient of a borehole a few months back, and has, from that ripple, has planted gardens and now gotten us in touch with other villages. She calls her project Sister to Sister. And we have more sisters in line for water in Zimbabwe. So thank you, Kira and Sri, for having us. Thank you to the water. Thank you to everyone. Peace and blessings.
And
Thank
don't
you.
move.
Ah!
I'm keeping you up here for a minute because I hope that all of you are feeling what I'm feeling right now, which is that this is a project that needs our absolute support. And that the more that we can support this project, the more that we are outreaching with consciousness. This is a project of conscious awareness. These are two incredible women that have championed this on their own since 2015, and it's time they've got a lot more support, don't you think? So I'm just standing up here saying you have my full support. Whatever we can do, you have. And I encourage all of you to really consider, at the very least, be there tomorrow and touch what this does for people. And if you've enjoyed everything that's happened here this weekend, especially with the way the water has been talking, this is a way we can start immediately putting that into action. So thank you both. I'm so grateful.
Thank
to
you.
be here.
Thank you.
Amazing.
Thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for the love of water.
Yes.
That's yours.
All right. Oh, I love it.
That's yours.
We have a gift up for the love of water. I love it.
There you go.
All right.
theloveofbears.org.
There it is.
Check it out.
And at the homepage of the wwaglobal.com, you can click right through to the fundraiser and get that taken care of and be there tomorrow. All right. How you feeling? I know, really. How am I feeling?
Before we move on to other things, I just want to pause for a moment on the whole theme of the water once again. I can't tell you how many times in my life I have felt blessed by water, floating on water, drinking water, submerging in water. And as a child, I took it for granted. And as a young man, I didn't pay any attention to it. And as I grew in my maturity and grew in my awakening, I began to recognize what's going on our planet, the pollution of the water, the captiveness of the water, etc. And this water is flow, and flow is consciousness. You cannot separate consciousness and water.
You found your consciousness on water.
I did.
Yeah.
I did. I had my first mystical moment out on a sailboat, watching the waves ripple in the sun. And
What he's not sharing is he was single-handing the inside passage, and he had been out alone for how long?
months.
Yeah. And so there was this gift of the water really pulling you into that state of having to face everything.
Well, and that's why the water is so symbolic of the grander flow and is connected to the grander flow. When you take a look at spaceship Earth from space, you see the blue planet.
You do. You do. You know, it reminds me, and I just feel compelled to share, especially as we're moving into this rising energy on the planet right now, that many of you that have known Shreen and I know that we lived in Guatemala for quite a long time among the indigenous Maya. And I remember so clearly, and I know many of you do, the moment that we had a convergence of a tormenta, a hurricane, a volcano eruption, and an earthquake, and which caused an incredible sinkhole. And I will never forget that day, because in that one moment, 22 people we knew in our village died. The mudslides came down because of the
whole side of the hill, boom.
The schools were gone. And while the water was part of that cleansing, what also happened in that moment was that the wake-up call came that we must take care of the planet. It was because of the overharvesting, it was because of the overgrazing, because of the clear cutting that such a horrible mudslide came into this village. And we are all learning right now. And as that village was cut off from everything, there was nothing. And it was a fairly big village. It was about
all the
2,500 people
roads
stuck.
were covered
Everything
with
was
mud.
gone. It was it was my beloved husband and our water systems, because we had an off-grid property, that we started bringing all of our water systems over there. So we know the critical nature of access to a water filtration system. The fact that we were able to respond within a day prevented a cholera outbreak. How many people didn't die? The fact that we were able to bring in medicines, that we had a boat that literally became the lifeboat, that your generosity, that we reached out to our community, the blankets, the medicines, we were 2 weeks cut off from the world for that village, where literally we became a life raft. And I think of the symbology of being a life raft. And it takes us to so many different ways, doesn't it? Because buoyancy comes from within. There's so many reasons to not be buoyant right now, aren't there? There are so many things you can find to pull you down. If you are looking for a reason to be mad, you will find it. If you are looking for a reason to be afraid, I trust you, you will find more than one. If you are looking for a reason to doubt, to stop, to be in poverty consciousness, it will all be in your face right now.
You are a powerful creator.
Right? So what are you calling in? Yet in this moment, in the flow of the water, as Ganga is so buoyantly in her lotus field energy, one with the beautiful Amazon, the earth is saying, okay, I see that we can come together in equality, in the oneness. Let's breathe in for a moment. Just breathe in and just notice what you notice on that breath. And relax your heart even more. As I'm connecting with all of your hearts, I'm feeling it's almost, how do I want to describe it? It's almost like an anticipatory shimmer. There's this shimmery, like, I don't know if I should be happy or sad, what's coming, what's not coming. I'm so afraid to this. Let that go. I want to invite you right now, just breathe in through your nose, do a deep ave, right? And right? And smile. You just took a breath, smile. That's the gift. We have the choice. Our buoyancy is with each breath. One of the greatest blessings that Sri and I have ever experienced together was the recognition that when you take conscious breath and train it to end with a smile becomes your natural way of being, because we're always breathing, thereby we're always smiling. And so when we have conscious breath and we apply deep conscious breath, regardless of whatever process of breath you're using, remember to smile when you complete it. And you will discover that the breath of buoyancy is your nature. So as we breathe that in right now, I just want to relax us into a moment. And I want to jump into March. Can we do that, Sri?
Absolutely.
All right.
Let's see if we can bring that
Can we
up,
bring
Jess.
up the March slide, Jess, the March up level? And we're working on a system we just put in. Well, what we can also, nope, keep going. Go back. No, the March up level calendar. Keep going. There it is. All right, we got it. Now you see some of my other slides, guys, right? What's coming. All right, here's what's important to understand. The March 2021 equinox opened an active ascension window through the equinox, and it is the active presence of this energy that is being amplified right now and will seal in September. Now, if you have the up-level calendar already, you've seen this. But here's what's so powerful about this month and where we are right now. You can see that yesterday we were right there at that peak up-level moment. So in this peak up-level moment, this is one of 4 for the entire year. And this peak up-level moment has sent us into the energy of complete awakened awareness if we choose to be there. And the key is, when you pay attention to this week ahead, look at the 21st to the 27th coming right up on us. You'll notice that once again, this week is all about, where are your words leading you? In the awareness of that which you are, in the awakened awareness, are your words your truth? Are you congruent? This is a week where it's like, are you congruent? I call it conscious congruence.
Yeah.
right? To be consciously congruent with all that you are. How would a master walk? How would a master talk? How would a master dress? How would a master be with others? How are you with you? This is that week, because this week is the week where the connections are able to come together and experience the dance of creation. How exciting is that? So this beautiful birth, this beautiful ascension birthing, Jess, do you have the ascended numerology for March? I want to show that next. This
on the slide.
you don't. It was on the jump drive. Street.
It's there.
Can you help her for a minute and come right back up? Forgive me, guys, but it's really important. So we can stay there till we find it. I can share without the slide. Remember that with the ascended numerology of this month, on the peak up level date, on the date of yesterday, we went back up into the 12. What does that mean? It means that we're at the very top of the clock, where it's where it all begins. So if you're at that midnight hour moment, what do you want to create through it? What do you want to have happen with it? That is the gift. And in that gift right now, it's all about our star consciousness. And that's why I put this on today, because if not now, when? But the reality, if you want to look at that word, is that in this moment of star consciousness, your solutions are not going to be birthed from density. It's Einstein. Your solutions are just not going to be birthed at the level of consciousness that has created them. And yet everything has conspired in this moment to give us the gift of not having to be concerned about that. And I'm going to have to sit here in silence till we're done, because it's very hard for me to be doing this. So I'm just going to be in silence for a minute. And if we don't have the slide, it's okay. We can just stop looking for it.
The people are seeing it on Zoom.
Okay. I'm glad to hear that. I'm waiting for you to come back up. I can't. Forgive me, everyone, but it's impossible for me to be in this flow with that. So yeah, please come on in and sit. Thank you. You guys know me, right? I won't fake it. So now let's come back to it. All right, there we are. Hey, you did a Spanish lesson up there. That's even better. All right, so with this, it's cut off quite a bit. I don't know why, but can we scroll up and at least see the dates? Yeah. Right here, this is the one I want you guys to pay attention to. Right here is, you will see the equinox peak up level. Remember, this is ascended numerology. The equinox up level, March 20th, brought us into the 12. Now you can scroll back up so we can see everything as the 6 plus the 6. Okay. The reason that is so important is because what is the 6? Well, in our body, it's our birth center. It's our balance. It's the balance of that which we are creating. So is what you are creating calling forward this creation balance birth of this weekend? And then it double amplified. It's like we got a double hit of balance and went up to the 12. And the 12 is the area of star consciousness. We have the third eye, and then we have star consciousness. The area of star consciousness is the ignition of the mastery presence within. And so we have been amplified and amplified again to be here in this moment of star consciousness. And I know when you look at the clock for this month, it can be like, oh my gosh, like, how could we squeeze any more lines on there, right? It was that kind of a month. But the most important thing to notice are these infinite ones that we have going on here. And I'm not going to make them scroll up and down again. However, what's important to pay attention to is that from this 12, you see this yellow line here? This is where we're going to go on the new moon. So for the next week, everything is in front of you. You're transiting everything. Everything is in front of you to look at, to reweave, to put together, to have fresh ideas about, to say, wow, this, it's about looking at everything with fresh eyes and manifesting it, because by the full moon, it's ready. It's ready. It's really ready. And that is bringing us to the spiral flows.
Before we jump away.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead. And we've got the camera back. Okay. I just want to speak to something that is important for all of us, whether you are in a male body or a female body or some other kind of body. And that is that the nature of this weekend is one of birthing through the cycles of change. So let's take that in for a moment. This is really important. That energy that in the ascended numerology comes forward as the number 6 relates to the basket of creation.
Second chakra.
Your second chakra is where we let go of old identities and birth a new identity. In the case of the human birth, we are birthing a brand new being. In the case of the cycles of change that we all go through in our lives, we're constantly going through seasons. And this is the chakra that either inspires a fluid, I release and I receive, or decides to be in argument with the greater flow and go, well, but wait a minute, what about yesterday? And so it's really important to acknowledge that this equinox weekend was about releasing old identities, old investments, old hurts, old resentments, old unforgiven judgments, all that jazz, and be available to be impregnated by your highest vision.
Wow, right?
To be inspired by your highest vision. And this is what's coming forward. And as Kira's was sharing, this week that's upon us brings us back to the capacity to know what is true for ourselves. Now, if we're hanging on to old images, how can you be in present time?
Right?
If we're hanging on to old hurts, we're defining everything we experience by a reference point that's outdated old software. It needs to be purged. Control-Alt-Delete moment.
Really. It is that easy.
It is that easy. One portion of forgiveness and another portion of let's move on.
Right?
You know, and so I just want to underscore the power that's in your hands right now. The greater flow upon our planet is one of saying we are rebirthing. A bridge has been opened to next September, and it's up to each of us to go, I will walk with this. I will accept this new energy. I release the past and I embrace the glorious future that is calling me out. It's calling me forward. And now let's bring it back to those words. When we articulate anything, we are giving it power.
Anything.
So you may have this quiet, private vision of something beautiful that you're going to do, create, support. But if your words are saying, well, I don't know, or I'm ashamed to say, I'm reluctant to share, what are you doing to that beautiful energy that's wanting to birth? You're diminishing it. And this is why it's time to be really mindful of the words we choose, because our voice is a creative influence.
Yes.
I command it so. The authority with which you speak has a rippling effect out into the shared universe. And when we share from a place of clarity, we're saying, my heart is aligned with this, whatever the this is, you're giving it life. And when we come from a place of doubt and fear, what are we enlivening? We're expanding doubt and fear. And so these are not new secrets by any means. What my role here today is to remind you of the truth that you already know. Your words are important, forgiveness is important, and trusting what is emerging is critical. Great beauty is all around us. Let's dance with that.
Oh, Sri, I'm just going to breathe that. Let's just breathe that one in for a minute, right?
Yeah.
I'm loving that because it is. And in that great beauty, it also means what? It means that we have broken free from victim consciousness. And that's the other piece of this incredible moment, is that ability to break free permanently of all victim consciousness. Remember that the victim triangle is the victim, the rescuer, and the abuser. And that those three beings, the victim, the rescuer, and the abuser, are literally the path of density. That is what keeps the third dimension spinning. You see these words salt and peppered all over the world. Every time you see them, all they're doing is spinning the same plate. Just feels better when you're in one roll than another, but the reality is it's all a piece of the same pie. And so it's time to say, I've had enough of that pie, thank you. And to go over here and go, let me try this new pie, right? Let me try the teacher, healer, mentor role. Because we all can transform through that. When we are the teacher, the healer, and the mentor, we also are able to hold our empowerment, our enlightenment without the need to chase or rescue. Each being has the right to their journey. It is not our job to control another's journey, but it doesn't mean you have to agree with them. It doesn't mean that they have a free pass to do whatever. Density has ramifications. What it is saying is that your consciousness has elevated to a moment whereby you are able to sustain a frequency of inspired action that assists you to continue to expand all service without judgment. And this is the moment that we're in right now. We're in a moment where we're all being invited to go beyond our own judgments, because that's the only way we can collectively lift from the fifth to the seventh. In order to sustain a seventh dimensional frequency, you must release the judgments. And oftentimes we're judging ourselves so harshly that we have a hard time staying in any form of ascended presence. Remember, it is our self-compassion that lifts us into fifth dimensional beingness. It is that forgiveness and if you've never done Shri's amazing 7-day forgiveness free, go to the website, get it started. The most amazing forgiveness program ever. Because in this moment of concentric dimensionality, the victim triangle is very sophisticated. And you can easily spiritualize your ego and lift up into fifth dimensional states and sustain them for a while, but you won't be able to sustain them forever. And this is why if you have the calendar, you've already seen this, but this was what I was shown for this year. And it was a very hard thing for me to create. So hopefully I can help you understand it. Inside of this is that ignited discus of Vishnu that opened on 8/8 the Lionsgate 2020. That energy ignition on 8/8/2020 amplified this moment. It was like the universe coming in and saying, hey, we get it. You guys need some extra help. And so it was an amp. And it was an amp specifically directed at the feminine. It was very much about rise lioness. We need the lioness energy to champion this, because the balance, even in a moment where we're all talking about the balances keep getting more imbalanced. So what happened was that as we came in through this ignition energy, when we ignite the framework of support, which is the torus field, we have the ability to stay in the 0 point center. We are the 0 point generator. It's not something, we are the 0 point generator. It's just about sustaining your torus field through steadfast commitment, focused awareness, and complete trust. That is the magic. It's not commitment, it's steadfast commitment. It's not awareness, it is focused awareness. And it's not trust, it is complete trust. And through those three things, we hold open the torus field where we become the 0 point generator. And that's what this is. This is the 0 point ignition inside the greater torus field that opened up. And I'm going to go through this slowly, because if I go through it slowly, I know you can wrap around it. So allow your left brain to just kind of relax and have some fun right now. Just consider the potentiality. And so what's happened, and you've probably noticed in your life, full circle events. Everything is full circle. Everything's coming back. Even the Kanyari. Alexander, on point, he was sitting right here.
Right here.
He was right here. Even Alexander, who was right here. When we were interviewing him earlier this morning, was talking about the opening of the circles and the dimensions. And we're saying the same thing. Everything the Kanyari were saying kind of blew my mind, that they were literally saying what we've had in print now for 6 months. So that was very, very affirming. And concentric dimensionality is a moment where we are at, you were mentioning it earlier, we're at this cross point. And in the way that consciousness expands, because we are ever expanding, we are at a moment where our consciousness itself in this experience of form has already hit where we have been before, but no more. And what that means is that inside of each being right now, which is why you're seeing all this concentric energy around Armageddon and all these people that are trying to call in all these different forms of fundamental experience, because deep within each being right now is a universal wound that you do remember having done this before. Whether you remember it or not, consciously is irrelevant. But deep within you, the reason that the distraction works so well is because it's part of us. We created it. And so this is the moment to invite a true choice into your life. And this is why everything has concentrically come in. And for the first time ever, I'm going to let you jump in and I'm going to cut back. For the first time ever, we are in this breath, in this breath, in this breath, in this breath. Our consciousness expands even more. And that's why this is such a dangerous precipice point, because there are not enough of us that remember. Bottom line, there's not enough of us willing to go out on a limb. We are so afraid of what we think is the establishment. We are so afraid of thinking that's the mainstream that, God forbid, the voice we carry, which is much larger than most people know, and much more awake and intelligent and articulate and educated, that this moment right now, it matters for you to decide who you are. And then just live it. You don't need to pontificate about it. You don't need to go run out in the streets and say, I did it, right? Just be it. It's not about the fanfare. It's about just living it. That's all that happens here at Tosa Blue Mountain. Sri and I just moved here and said, we're just going to live it. Come what may. Like us, not like us, that's irrelevant, because that's not what matters. What matters is not wavering in the truth of the mastery presence of that which you are. You know, earlier this morning, I just want to close by sharing one thing. Earlier this morning, I mentioned to you that my beloved Zadok Osiris is here with us. And I'll share a secret with you. When I was invited to up-level myself, when I was at my own moment of incredible, am I insane or not insane? What is going on? I bow before the one who offered me the affirmation. Because we must each hold that for each other. We must each hold that for the other. When we each stand in our truth, no matter what. We wear what we want to wear. We listen to what we're being told. We pay attention to who we are. We love the fact that we are here and that we know ego is the greatest illusion of all, right? When we say yes to our mastery presence, then we free everyone around us to do the same thing. So thank you for freeing me. And thank all of you for freeing yourselves.
Yes.
Because that's what this moment is about right now. It's about a point of freedom that we have never collectively attained before. Are we close to a moment of implosion? Yes. So why talk about it? I mean, really, I have zero time. Those around me know it. You know, it's not that I'm a bitch. It's just I have zero time for that. Why would I sit around and talk to you about conspiracy and things that are negative and things that are going to ruin the planet and why this one's doing that one to that one? Honest to goodness, find somebody else to talk to that about. But if you want to talk about how we can make this thing amazing and how we can co-create, I'll give you 24/7. That's the commitment each of us needs to make to ourselves. What's got your inspiration flowing? What has really got your attention? What if you knew for a fact that we only had these next 9 months? What wouldn't you do? What wouldn't you do? Because that's where I'm at. There isn't anything I won't do to make sure that my children's children have a planet, that they can drink water, that they get to see an elephant, that they get to know what a polar bear looked like, that it got to sustain itself. This is our moment. This is our moment.
Absolutely.
Right?
You know, one of the things that
I'm giving my husband a moment because I need water.
there you go. One of the things that arises in me as I listen to my beloved share her heart is that we have theoretically clay feet, meaning that we were born of the earth, but it's our vessel that was born of the earth. Our spirit, our soul is an infusion. We are in sacred union with these bodies. And one of the things that I want to remind you is how many of you have ever been walking somewhere, you know, I need to go from here to there, whatever the there is, and you bump your knee or your shin, right? And you go, ow. And then you get started going over there, and guess what you do? You bump it again. You ever done that? Have you ever noticed that the moment you injure yourself, you tend to hit it again? Okay, the reason I share that with you is what is needed in that moment or between the injuries. And my response to what is needed is we need to breathe, love, and become present. Whenever we have a little owie, a little accident, it's a way of calling us into presence, is it not? It's a way of saying, hey, the way you were proceeding is not fully conscious. So let's breathe. I need a hug, owie, my body hurts. Let me come into present time. Okay, now I collect myself and I move forward wherever I'm called to be. Well, then the reason I share that with you is that's a very day-to-day understanding of how we move through life. What about as a collective? Kira brought up that humanity has hit a threshold moment where there is this subconscious fear of catastrophe, which is calling catastrophe forward as a self-fulfilling prophecy. That which you resist continues to live, does it not? And so as a species, as a collective, we have gone through the creation and the destruction of worlds. And on this beautiful planet, there have been civilizations that have come and gone. And those memories are deeply embedded in our collective DNA. What is needed? A hug, a pause. We don't have to repeat this the same way. What is needed is a lifting of awareness when we step out of the autopilot and instead take a look at the bigger map that we're flying over, to be able to love each other, to pause and say, we can do this. We do not need to repeat that which we were afraid of doing. We are only needing, second chakra, remember we talked about, to forgive the past, forget the past, because it's past, it's gone. We don't need to keep throwing it up in the future and say, I want to relive it. Let it be, collect the wisdom and move forward. There's a bumper sticker, collect the wisdom and move forward. The past is just that. It is past. And we are still here. We are here because the soon to be now is calling us. There is only now and the soon to be now. So, beloved ones, as we are as a collective looking at the issues in our world and looking at the issues in our families, it's important to remember the universal healing element for all situations is to lift one's consciousness. As we gain in perspective, and we can refer to that as moving into fifth dimensional or seven dimensional realities. And some people go, I get it. And other people go, no, now you're confusing me. How about we just remember, as a child, when you sat in the back seat of the car and you looked out of the window and you looked down on the road, it would make you nauseous. Zoom, 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 zoom. But the moment you lifted your gaze and all of a sudden now the signposts are going by and you lift your gaze a little higher and you're seeing the panorama of the world. But you go back down, zoom, zoom, zoom. It's unsettling. That is a perfect metaphor for what happens as we lift our consciousness. We are able to take in the greater vista and we appreciate it. And from the greater vista, we then can make better choices. A better choice is one that has harmony, not just a reaction. That has harmony, is my needs, the needs of all, the needs of the planet. And we must lift in order to do that. One of the things in my life that I value so much is understanding levels of consciousness. I have been tracking this for more than 20 years. One of my teachers, David Hawkins, initiated this into me, and I have been expanding on his work and looking at the role of the ego as it interfaces with your vibrational rate. And there is a whole scale that David Hawkins didn't address, which is called ego governance. This is my words. This is what I'm writing about. Vibrational rate will lift as long as fear is released. You don't have to work for it. Try that on. Your ascension, your enlightenment is guaranteed. Or as the Buddha said, once you heard about nirvana, you will ultimately find it. You are guaranteed to be the enlightened being. So why wait? Why hold on to your fears and doubts? What are they giving you other than practice of contraction? And if you want to practice more, go for it. You're a divine creator. You can practice with fear and doubt if you like. However, this ego governance issue, many people say, I choose love, I choose to lift, but their ego is saying, I need to control what it looks like. I need to control how it is. I'm worried about what people will think of me. I'm afraid of other people's judgments. Wow. Cancel that. What people think of me is none of my business. Have your thoughts. What I think of myself, and I invite you to try this on, is I am a divine, powerful, loving being here to serve. And you can fill in the blank on how you're serving. To serve the awakening, to serve the expansion of love, to serve the expanding harmony that is fully present and available to be expanded on this planet now. Sometimes I feel like when we share, we're a little bit like that Sunday preacher who is wanting to say, now believe me, I'll speak it a little louder, believe me. Are you believe it yet? Well, I'll say it even louder. I don't want to say it louder. I just want to invite, I want to invite each and every one of you to take a hand in your heart and just take a breath. I am conscious. And I am grateful. Let's do it again. I am conscious.
I am conscious.
And I am grateful.
I am grateful.
From there, you will be guided. It really isn't hard. And when fear arises, it's a call to bring a hand to the heart and to take a breath and to affirm, I am conscious. I am grateful. And this fear has no bearing on my life nor my choices. It's just a little passing environmental thing. Yes. And so, beloveds, we are at a grand time. And coming back to the ascended numerology and the calendar, we are at a time where these cycles are revisiting us, and we get to see them and experience them from a higher level of consciousness than before. How many of you have noticed in your lives that there are these synchronicity occurrences, that you visited things that you thought you were done with, but you're visiting them from a whole new relationship, or that people's paths have crossed in a way that suddenly the spark is there, that I know we're here to co-create versus, hi, how you doing, bye-bye. And that's what is going on here in the spiral time, is that we ride the energy of a month and bring it into the center. And then as the 1 month is releasing, the next month is rising. And we have the ever-present figure 8. The ever-present figure 8, the spiral dimensions, the infinite, ever expanding, but always intersecting in the center. The torus field that is your energy body. Many people can't see it, but you can trust this. There is a center point, and the energy goes out like a giant donut, right? So what happens when you begin to feel this circulation? We begin to recognize that every thought, every declaration that comes out of our mouth goes out and comes right back in. And that's the old adage of, you point your finger at someone while you're also judging yourself at the same time. Whatever we declare for another, we will receive back unto ourselves. That is the way the energy works. And that reminds me, while we're here, well, I have your attention, April 12th, we are beginning a whole new series, Monday nights. We call it Monday Magic, and it is the I Am series from the I Am books from Godfrey Ray King and the beloved Saint Germain. We're going to be unpacking that page by page, declaration by declaration, because the I Am books are truly the Course in Miracles for this time. So join us. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go to sriankara.com, go click on the events. You're going to find a little right up there, and just allow yourself to be brave. Say yes, click, join, because we are experiencing magic every Monday night. The community that gathers is powerful, and you will feel the difference in your life. All right, my love.
Would you like me to join you?
Come on
All
up.
right, I'm just waiting for the signal, baby. All right, there we are. Thank you. All right. Well, first and foremost, let's all just take in a breath, shall we? Yeah, let's just clear in. And I do want to affirm that what's happening in April is really the natural evolution of this spiral event, which is why that's happening. So let me explain a little bit more. Those of you that have been tracking, see the January, and then we have the February, the March, the April. We are coming up to something that is really going to be kind of a jet fuel for 2021, and that's going to be this first May gate. You see that? There are 3 gates opening this year, and these gates have not opened before. And what they are is part of this amplitude. And the reason that it is so important that we are all working with this right here, January, February, March, April, forgive me for having to stand in front of a projector, is that this is the cross of perfect balance, these first 4 months, January, February, March, April. These are the ones that have called forward and ignited this I. And the I is essentially the awakening presence that is outside of the realm of density. And I know that can be kind of challenging the first time you ever see it. Just let's put up the, let's go back. Yeah, there it is. Let's put on that one. So let's talk about what all this means, because it's leading us to where the planet is right now. We're at a moment where there is an alchemy that is arising out of all of us. We are each the alchemist. We all have the opportunity to do that. And this is the gift of sacred union. This is what we've been working with in the WWA since 8/8/2020, which is that we have all of these wonderful ways of being. We have the princess, the goddess, the priestess, the queen, the wise woman, the woman, all of the names, all of these little attributes of density that we come up with, and all of these things. What if we could just take all of that and just say, great, right? It expresses in whatever way it wants to express. And we just let go of all sense of that and dive into that cosmic center whereby we become the 0 point energy. Well, how do we do that in form? It begins with the first, second, and third chakra of the human body, stabilizing as peace, stabilizing as love, and stabilizing as joy. And if you consider that this is first chakra, second chakra, third chakra, where have we been this entire month? We've been right here. It's been all about love. It's been all about love. We're at the moment right now where words like love are actually coming out of the mainstream again. I'd say that's a pretty positive shift. Words like dream, words like carry inclusiveness are starting to be seen again. That's a shift. It's not enough, but it's a shift.
It's a good start.
It's the best shift ever, right? It's the best start ever. And so when we see that, what we have to be careful of is the erosion of the joy, because that's how you collapse the alchemy. When you erode the joy, you collapse the alchemy. One of the things that early on, Sri and I were very gifted with when all of this information was blessed through us, was that it was so powerful that until you are stabilized in peace and until you are stabilized in joy, love cannot exist. Love is not a singular element. When love exists as a singularity, it is out of balance. And I want you to breathe that in. I know that can be expanding. Love as a singularity in density is often out of balance. How many really loving people do you know that are constantly in trouble? How many really loving people do you know are totally broken? They're the kindest person in the world, the most beautiful person in the world, but they just can't seem to take care of themselves. You know, they're the most giving, wonderful person in the world, but they're miserable, right? Or their life is a mess. There's just one little aspect that's good. That's because it's all 3 together. There is the peace that foundationalizes true love. Because true love carries with it, it's in the Bhagavad Gita, right? You are not swayed. No matter what happens, you can't be swayed. It's the greatest thing on the planet. It's the worst thing that's ever happened. You are you. You are you. That's the peace that ignites that true love to express, that thereby offers a joy that is not tied to an emotional component. How many times have you been really, really happy? I mean, like joy-filled, joy-filled, joy-filled. And you run up and you talk to somebody and you tell them all this wonderful news and you feel so inspired and you feel so amazing. And what's the first thing they might do? You're crazy. I have a pill for that. Right? Oh, you must be kidding me. You know, oh, let me tell you why we need to talk.
Or you obviously
Right.
you haven't thought
Yeah,
about
and,
blah,
and
blah, blah.
let me tell you why I think why your happiness is a bad idea. We all know that's called partners in pain. And partners in pain are frequently your family and your best friends. Because until you wake up, your circle consists of your level of consciousness. You call to you the level of consciousness that you carry. All you have to do is look at those around you to model to see what your level of consciousness is. And when you're ready for an up level, or when you're ready for a lateral spin, or when you're ready to dive back in for a while, your circle reflects that. So if you want to look at your consciousness, look at the circle around you. You want to change the circle around you, lift your consciousness. They're not doing anything wrong. This isn't positionality. They're doing exactly what they're supposed to do to help you remember who you are. Every single being is in the alchemical process of their own miracle alignment. And as they do that, the 4 steps of self-ascension, and they're in no order. They're in no order. They're just always, it's an ever refining spiral, right? It's an ever refining spiral. Be in union with the self. That is the full acknowledgement of the blessing of the temple of the body in union with the mastery presence. Because when we can stabilize the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd chakras as peace, love, and joy, our heart explodes in ascended awareness. It becomes the foundation of our ascended presence. And then you have this incredible ascended presence anchored at the heart that's constantly infusing the body. And the body's constantly rejuvenating, constantly receiving new energy, constantly being inspired, constantly creating. But it demands 1st, 2nd, and 3rd being really happy and about a high level of trust of the 2 as 1. Be in union. Release judgment of yourself. Start there. Start there. You ever second guess yourself? You ever just do something, you feel great, and then suddenly you're like, or whatever, right? You got to release judgment. You will never be able to release judgment of another until you release judgment of yourself. It will just be words. It'll mean nothing. You'll say you forgive. You'll say you're not judging, but you're not. You're lying to yourself. We lie to ourselves all the time. It's what we do until we can look in the mirror and realize the only thing we have in common with everything in our lives is us, right? It's you. You're the common denominator. And I love sharing this that you guys know I was married 5 times. Sri is my 5th husband. And it wasn't, it's a great number, mastery, presence, eternal life, right? 5. But the only thing I had in common up until my 5th husband was the me that was calling in that energy. And I'll never forget the day that I was like, you know what? I really get it. It's me. I really get it that there is this energy that needs to really pay attention. And it's in those moments where we can laugh and see. Doesn't mean that we get away with anything. There's amends, you make amends. There's things that need to happen, you do them. But you're doing them from a level of consciousness that's carrying a freedom rather than a judgment. And so releasing judgment is massive, especially of the self. Unconditional love, you know where it begins, right? You, right? Unconditional love beginning with you. And then, of course, surrender. And that begins with surrendering what surrender looks like. How many times do we judge that? We try to cut deals with God. You ever cut a deal with God? Everybody cuts deals with God at some point, right?
Yeah.
God, please, right?
If you do this, I'll do
Right,
that.
I promise, right? So you surrender what surrender looks like. We have so many preconceptions, and the more that we really stay in the harmonious presence of our divine being, the more that we are in that ever refining spiral. You can't ever mess it up. You know, one of the things that happened during my near-death experience was when I had the blessing and was very consciously aware of being on this, what felt like a lotus to me. And all of us, it was so incomprehensible almost, but there was this like crystalline rays coming out of hearts. And it went every single heart. It was just this massive spiraling, and every single being, every single aspect. It was completely infinite. It was like surreal. And in that moment, what was right in front of me was this massive swirling energy. And what I was witnessing before I had the blessing of being called in was that we're always spiraling around this same thing constantly. We're always there. You're always there. You can't mess this up. Nothing is going to take you out of it. There's just times you're out here, and then there's times you're in here. But you're in this constant alchemical matrix, terrible word, but constant alchemical experience that allows you to absolutely know the oneness of all. We are all one. And when we have those moments, and we have them more than once, we have them frequently, where we actually, it's like, the only way I can describe it, was like an invitation. It's like where you're like, suddenly you're spiraling, and then you're in the middle of this incredible energy. And in my experience, the first thing I saw was everything. It wasn't Jesus, it wasn't relatives, it wasn't any of that. It was literally the Godhead in all forms. In all forms, very much like in the Gita, when Arjuna says, "Please show me," it was very similar to that. And in the knowing of our infinite presence, in the knowing of this moment right now, the planet herself is going into a state of self-ascended awareness. So what does that really mean? And we can turn off the slide, Jess, that's okay. So what that really means is that all of the chakras of the planet right now are moving into their infinite presence. And this is why the planet is shifting. The planet is shifting because she has to shift. It's a cyclical. We are cyclical. Are not feminine beings cyclical? We are probably the most cyclical beings on the planet. We're very much about cycles. We are entering a cycle in this planet where the energy of the planet herself is transcending above density. And so for many, that's very difficult to understand or even work with, because it feels so unfamiliar. It's like, it's where the questions come out, like, how can this possibly be? How can things be getting so crazy? How can that possibly evolve? Why is this happening there? Why is that happening there? Because the planet herself is shifting into another frequency, and not everyone can feel it. And what that means is very similar, and I'm sorry, I don't have the graphics, very similar to the self-ascended chakras. When our chakras move from the orbital energy into, I put one up here, into the infinite sign, when they move into the infinite presence, it means that we have the opportunity to expand beyond our own sense of expansion. And this is why the next moment ahead, March to September, is so critical, because things are rapidly amplifying, and they're going to amplify so quickly. And here's the gift: steadfast commitment, focused awareness. Whatever you are sincerely ready to birth right now is going to birth. Get ready. You're going to have quintuplets. I mean, if you are ready to birth something, hold on. It's going to be beyond your wildest dreams. But there's a caveat. You've got to really stay outside of what's going to try to pull you back, because everything is amplifying. And so you're going to be challenged. And the gift is, if you stay in the zone of the amplification, then the greatest work ever will be done on the planet during these next few months. We have an opportunity to make a difference the way we've never, and I'm talking about the collective, make a difference. Yeah.
One of the things I want to remind you of is we live in a quantum reality, and there is no such thing as linear time. That is an imposition. That's a creation we made. And if you want to play with this, you can imagine your timeline, and there's the past, the present, and future. Well, what if you just wrap that around as a circle and stand in the center, and you gaze at past and future from the calm center? You have that ability, because that is your nature. Time is experiencing inside of you, not outside of you.
Yeah.
And so as we are in this moment of March through September, right now, 2021, we are in a quantum creative reality that, if to whatever extent you can release the doubt and declare the vision, the truth of the expanded, harmonious state of being, state of planet, state of universe, that in your heart you know would bring you joy, we will then send that out as a creative ripple that calls forth the experience of it, as opposed to sending out a reactive ripple based upon an outdated experience.
So let's feel that. So if you're at home right now, and if you're here and you want to, let's stand up and let's pull in some living Ankh energy. And I want to talk about the Kundalini, the ascended Kundalini. We're going to need a little more space
Yep.
for each other. And so in order to do the living Ankh, I can move over here.
We're good.
Okay, in order to do the living Ankh, the first thing you want to do is you want to have your feet, you want to be standing optimally, and you want to have your feet shoulder width. So just have your feet shoulder width apart. There you go. And with the living Ankh, the first thing we want to do is really feel, just really feel into your feet. Remember that all healing begins at the feet. And so let's really look at those beautiful feet right now. And just relax your breath. Really feel your feet anchoring. And begin to notice under your left foot, just begin to imagine, pretend, feel, be with a beautiful ball of crystalline light. Just right at the bottom of your foot. Just feel it tickling your foot. Just right there at the bottom of your foot. And underneath your right foot, you're gonna do the same thing with this beautiful gold ball of light. And just feel those energies tickling your feet. Keep it right there. There it is. Just feel it lifting you and tickling you. And then as you breathe in, we're gonna bring those energies up right to the base of the spine. Just breathe it right up your legs and keep it right there at the base of your spine. Right there, that first chakra. Just feel that beautiful gold and crystalline energy illuminating your legs. And now on the next in-breath, I want you to feel those energies spiraling together. And we're going to breathe them all the way up and let it come right out of your crown. And now we're going to take our arms and we're going to stretch them all the way out of our shoulders. We're going to literally become the living Ankh. If you can, you want to push your hands back as far as you can. Let the heart come forward. Let the head go back. And feel this radiance of emerald light showering from the healing presence of Archangel Raphael, entering your heart, coming out through your hands, unified with that golden white light, offering you this illuminated presence of eternal energy. It's literally recharging all that is inside, feeling that gift, receive, receive, receive. Take in a deep breath. And let's bring those arms straight out all the way around. We're scooping and we're going to bring it right around and we're going to really say thank you and receive this gift. Bringing our hands to prayer position. I'm going to invite you to turn and face someone. Everyone turn and face someone. Everyone turn and face someone. Who needs someone to face here? No, we have right here. Here's a third.
Paul and,
There we go. No, Paul's facing over here.
okay.
Jane needs somebody. You can be with Jane. There we
Okay.
go. Everybody's facing someone. All right, right now, I want you to bring your eyes to what's known as star consciousness. It's the area right above the third eye, about an inch above the third eye. And just gaze there in this moment and receive the energy of the cosmic star presence. You're going to want to be closer. And so gaze at that star presence. Feel that star presence connecting. There it is. And in just a moment, I'm going to invite you to close your eyes. And as you close your eyes, just feel and be. Just feel, receive. Notice what you're noticing. And in just a moment, we're going to invite you to open your eyes, not yet. And when you do, I invite you to take a moment and greet each other star to star. Just greet the person in front of you star to star. Take in a breath, exhale, and greet each other star to star. Just receive, just receive. And now take in a breath. And if you're called to say thank you, hugs are always amazing. Got a lot of them going on here. A lot of hugs going on here. I'm hugging all of you at home. I'm loving this star practice with all of you. If I could turn the camera, I would. You should see this beautiful room right here. Imagine every day greeting everyone that way. Yeah. A lot of beautiful sharing going on behind the camera here right now. Think about the star consciousness. It's a direct gateway to your fifth dimensional presence. Think about when His Holiness the Dalai Lama, the greatest, absolute, beautiful experience of fifth dimensional presence. Compassion. Compassion is the gateway to the fifth dimension. This beautiful man, his entire life has been walking around in this fifth dimensional presence. And when he greets you, it's star to star. It's star to star. And so imagine a world where we're greeting each other star to star, where we see the truth of who we are, without any illusions, without any need for the words that can make such a clutter out of that which we are truly trying to share. That is the moment we are in right now. This ascended Kundalini. I'm not going to talk about traditional Kundalini, so I'm just going to assume that many of you know about that. If you don't, please Google it and learn about it. But the ascended Kundalini recently opened. And with that energy has come forth an opportunity for all to reclaim their life experience in any way that they are choosing, with one caveat: if it does not serve the highest, it doesn't manifest. So there is kind of a safety catch on it. So while we are always considering, for the highest, the way it manifests, you will see. So in this moment, the ascended Kundalini is saying, it's like, the way I describe it is, it's like a wing of feathers. It's like this beautiful spiral of feathers that's just lifting you up again, that is awakening the higher chakras, that is awakening more to the awakening potentiality, that is inviting a greater experience of consciousness into all that is. And this ascended Kundalini does have some interesting ascension symptomology that comes with it. There is quite a bit of it. And one of the greatest gifts that comes through the awakening of this ascended Kundalini is that we are offering to ourselves a gateway to the greatest expansion we could ever co-create. So I want you to breathe that in. Yeah, and just really feel that. So before we go any further, I just want to, I'm just going to open it up over at Zoom if there are any questions, or if any of you have any questions here before we go any further. We're good at Zoom? No Q&A? Okay,
I have a question, but I have a statement.
please.
Thank you for such illuminating, beautiful messages. Teaching. Out of this world.
Thank you. Thank you for receiving. We are grateful.
I received.
Thank you. Thank you.
It's time for us to remember we are more than that which we thought we were. We are more than the body. We are more than our childhood. We're more than our adulthood. We are infinitely expanding. And oftentimes our thoughts keep our energy focused on a static picture. This is my identity. This is what I dress. This is what I work, all of that. And that's fine until you're complete with it.
Yeah.
Because this ascended Kundalini, the traditional Kundalini, the teaching, the yogic teaching, and it is a reality, is that there is a quiet energy in the root chakra that when the time is right, when circumstances are appropriate, it will lift up the spine and activate the upper chakras and open your eyes in ways that you didn't know.
Exactly.
That's only step one.
Yeah, we're at the next wave.
That's step one. And people are going, that's it. That's all there is.
That's
No,
step
no, no.
one.
The one thing I can tell you with certainty in this expanding universe, there's always more.
Oh, yes.
Always more.
And it's so awesome.
And so the ascended Kundalini will take you further as we relax and release our need to control. And this comes back to the 4 steps of self-ascension. Release judgment. How can you release judgment if you haven't activated love? And the one thing, this was a tough lesson in my life. I went through a period where I was judging myself so harshly. And you can't judge yourself without judging others.
Right.
There comes a moment where you go, just stop judging me. Okay, I'll judge them. We project our hurt out on the world and we judge others. And I began to realize, this was my own healing process, and it was an active healing work, that if I brought love to my judgments, they would soften into wisdom,
Yes.
into discernment.
Exactly.
Discernment is a noticing of what is without needing to judge it, without needing to say that shouldn't be and that should be. It's just a discernment that when circumstances create this and other circumstances create that, and I love it all. It's all part of the magic. That is the gateway to the ascended state. When your thoughts are viewed with love, we become a contributor to the peace, and we bring wisdom forward to help guide those that are ready to be guided. When we are in judgment, what is really happening is it's like a childish state. Judgment arises because we care. We care. Only we haven't tuned into our caring as much as we've tuned into the critical mind. And this is why the love is so critical. As we bring the love we anchor it to the heart. Our thoughts then, if they have any edge to them, they can quickly be softened and released. So the 4 steps to living in the ascended state of being: release judgment, unconditional love, surrender. You know, these things kind of work together. We can't really surrender if we're judging, can we? Yet when we soften judgment, we might not surrender because we're trying to hang on. We're trying to control. Surrender means release expectations also. An expectation is a future judgment. That's all it is. And so I wanted to come back to this because it's so essential for our time and for our personal peace. Unconditional love, be in union, meaning no more resistance. Be in union with your body, be in union with this world, be in union with each other, be in union with the divine. Release judgment, surrender. And they keep cycling, and we keep getting better at it. This isn't a do it once and you're done kind of thing.
It's true.
Our nature is that we will keep needing to choose. We keep needing to re-up, to surrender more, to love more, to release the need to control more. And this Kundalini and this opportunity that's on this planet, it's happening. The question is, will you allow it to happen through you? Or will you simply engage it as a concept? And this is the call upon all of us. It's time to get off your ass. Time to get off the couch and be in the flow of the creative process. This is where passionate action comes forward.
Absolutely.
Activism is a refined judgment. It has heart. It has heart, but it's a refined judgment. It usually carries a fair amount of anger and right and wrong. Passionate action says, I know what I'm to do, and it brings me joy to do it. And you go do it. That's passion. Comes from here. Calm passion is co-created love. Passion is your nature. Do you think you were created out of judgment? You were created out of passion. A passion to exist. Anyway, I'm just so delighted that we are together celebrating the equinox, the emergence of this ascended Kundalini, and what is happening on our planet with the Kundalini of the planet moving here into this continent.
Well, let's talk about that, because as we're coming to this closure moment today, this is an ignition moment, is it not? And the reason it's such an ignition moment is because of exactly that. Let's go back. Let's go all the way back, right? Let's go all the way back just to 2012. A time when so many were just repeating so many out and out lies about my beautiful Mayan brethren. And just so many were cashing in, and it was all about who could get famous and who could do what, while the Maya themselves were sitting there and circled us going, please tell our truth. And the truth was that they were talking about this moment. They had foreseen when it would be the turbulent times, but they would never say they had forecasted the end of times. And in 2012, something did happen, was that the Himalayan shift, the energy of the Kundalini, that the spiritual Kundalini, this serpiente, right? This snake-like energy, as we often see it in our healing, caduceus and things of that nature, that energy did move. It was the first sign that the planet was preparing. And now here we are, almost 10 years later, right? And we are in this moment of concentric dimensionality that is saying, look, that Kundalini shift destabilized your planet's spiritual energy. Right now, we have so many spiritual competitors. Competition is the greatest illusion of all. When we are in the moment of our divine empowerment, everything is a celebration, especially our neighbor's success. When we believe in competition, we destroy ourselves. When we compare ourselves to another, we destroy all that we are.
Compare is to kill.
Right? All we're doing is saying, I'm not measuring up to whose yardstick. What if the yardstick's inside of you? What if the moment right now, what if this rising Kundalini that's saying, remember, the first Kundalini is very much about the physical body and its expression. And the next energy is right now that this ascended Kundalini begins in the ascended heart, not in the physical heart, in the ascended heart, because that's the heart that ignites the double ignition of our own 0-point energy generator, whereby the law of instantaneous manifestation ignites. It's who we are. Everything you've ever thought was fantastical or magical or whatever is just who you are. All myths are born out of the creation of the shadows of the truth that you're afraid to remember. What if remembering was the greatest gift you could give yourself? What if you could dance every night with the truth of that which is? That's what the Ascended Kundalini is offering you. But the Ascended Kundalini is not an easy activation. It's taken me over a year to really activate it. And with every moment of activation, there have been some fascinating journeys. Because to carry the consciousness of multidimensional presence and full cognizance of your physical body is not yet a friendly space on Mother Gaia. That's why Tosa Blue Mountain was born, so that people can come here and live like this. I often say I live in my wonderful prison, because here the energy is so high and so pure, and the wind that's blowing right now, and the breezes that we're smelling right now, and the purity of the people that we get to live with reminds us that all is not lost. As a matter of fact, all is beginning again. How do you want it to look? Do you want to dive into the fact that it's going to look like a nightmare? Then dive. And as Archangel Zadkiel would say, do it well. If you're going to have the nightmare, then have one hell of a nightmare. I mean, go in and do it well, right? And that's Zadkiel. Zadkiel was the first one that says, look, make your choice, but do it well, right? What is your choice? Because the other thing Zadkiel always says, and this is Zadkiel, if you sit on the fence, you're going to get a crotch burn, and that hurts. And so do you want to sit on the fence?
Take action.
That's it. And so at this moment, everything, especially the energy of the planet, is calling out for balance. And that's where the shield was born. Remember that the cross of perfect balance is an equilateral cross, but in the center is the jewel. It is the jewel of your heart. It is the jewel of your consciousness. And the consciousness right now is the reason the battle is here, because we are at such a profound moment. This is a moment unlike any other. And all of us who are aware of it get to dance, get to create, and get to sustain the expansion. And for every one of those that you think is pulling you away, perhaps next time you can wrap your arms around yourself and thank them for loving you enough to do their job so perfectly that you know exactly who you are. That the next time your joy is so ecstatic, you are able to sustain it in the face of the one who would seek to take it, the partner in pain. Love them, they know not what they do. Forgive them, they know not what they do. When you can own the essence of that, nothing will stop you. Nothing. And so, beloved ones, nothing is stopping this. And this is why in April, please join us as we ignite the grid of illumination. February, March, April. Remember, this was a 3-month cycle. And in this March moment, right now, we are in the awareness. Come next month, April, we are in the experience of everything that's happening right now. And it's a month full of experience, and it is a month where the grid of illumination is being raised again. And how we're raising that, and all of you are already participating, is that many of you know the story of the miracle book that we have right up in our studio. It was Sri and I were living, the quick version, we were living in New Mexico. We came home from Albuquerque into our locked home, unlocking the door, and we had a beautiful little adobe home. We walk in, pellet stove going, I still remember that.
Yeah.
Pellet stove is going, we walk in, and right there in front of us was that I Am Discourses book, original, signed by Godfrey Rain King himself.
A green hardback book from
1936.
1936 was
Mhm.
sitting on our table. Just appeared.
2003, and filled with all of the notes and little, there's interesting things and fabulous. And as many of you know, we've been showing it over the years, it's now disintegrating. We've been doing our best, but we realized as it was disintegrating, there was a moment where I really thought it was disintegrating because it was moving on to its next teacher. And then I held it. This was shortly after, well, many of you know, and we realized it was because we haven't taught it yet. And that if we didn't teach from it, the grid of illumination, and that's why it had been given to us. And so we have asked around the world, and you're all doing it. The other message we got was to save these books. And so all around the world, all of you are buying these books. We are all getting all the original copies we can. Many of you are sending us pictures of books you have found with Godfrey Ray King in them as well. We are trying to save these books in the hands of those that understand what these books are. And starting on April 12th, that's Monday Magic, which you all know you can get in for as little as $1, and it's 100% donations to Clinica Linda and to the water bearers. So please donate. Starting on Mondays, Monday, April 12th, we will be teaching from that book. We have no idea what it's going to look like other than we are complete trust of what Saint Germain has asked. We will not be going through it from one to the end. We are going to be honoring exactly what we are asked to do. And for all of you that have got the book, please make sure you're sending us your picture, because we are starting the grid of illumination around the world. And so far we have so many of your pictures, and appreciate that. So if you have not connected with us yet, if your friends don't know about it yet, help us spread the word. Remember, you can join for as little as $1. Be there Monday nights. And those of you that are part of our Monday Magic community, you know the power of that, the positivity. Every Monday night, it's a fellowship of coming together, of positive community, the friendships that are in there, the families that are in there, the love that we're sharing. And hey, tomorrow night, we still have 2 left on Living an Ascended Life. So along with teaching quantum clairvoyance in a workshop tomorrow, I'm also going to be with my beloved husband at Monday Magic tomorrow night. So it's another big moment ahead of us. You are the magic. We are the magic. And Shri, I would like to culminate today with the magic of all of the beings that have made this festival possible. What is your thought?
Well, there are so many people to honor.
There are. So I'm going to let you start sharing a little bit while I round some of them up.
Okay.
All right.
And before we move into that closure and appreciative moment, I just want to remind each and every one of you that every breath is a choice. I can choose love, or I can choose something else.
We have Q&A.
Okay,
So I think
so we choose to take a look at the Q&A.
We have Q&A. All right. Oopsie. Forgive me, everyone. We're doing your Q&A.
All right, let's say hi.
Let's say hi. So go ahead, Jess.
Astaria Serafina, namaste, beloved Shri and Kira.
Hi, Astaria.
Thank you for this beautiful WWA. We love you. Can you please expand upon what happens if there is no joy, therefore no alchemy? Does that mean no alignment with another being any longer in the ascended Kundalini energy? Namaste.
Would you like to begin, Shri?
The absence of joy is the absence of fullness. We can exist, but we do not thrive. And so each of us has a moment sometimes where we want to cultivate the discernment that comes from experiencing something other than the fullness. Now, I don't know if you consider that an oblique answer.
I'm going to jump in with one too.
However, one of the ways we cultivate our consciousness is through the discernment of contrast. We experience lack, so we understand fullness. We experience love, so we understand fear, and vice versa. We experience perceived separation so that we can have the joy of the unity. Every one of these experiences cultivates the embrace of who we are at our essence. And as we let go of the need to entangle ourselves with those experiences, we lift, lift, and lift.
I love that. I really love that. And Monica, Monica, Astaria, I just want to share this with you, sweetheart. If the joy is not there and you're aware of it, then you stop right there. And that's what you deal with. Let go of thinking it's connecting you to someone else. Let go of it being about anything else other than, where is my joy? And then follow that and source that. Because reclaiming your joy is the most important moment at hand. It's peace, it's love, it's joy. Our joy is tied to our third chakra. Our joy is our balance, right? It's our place of balance. It's our power, our
That's
center
what
of power,
animates everything.
right? And so if our joy is missing, we are collapsed. If our joy is here, we thrive. Thank you for asking, sweetheart. Jess?
Julie, if Mother Earth is ascending, is it still too unstable to ground into her? If
Yes.
not, what would be proper?
Okay, well, first of all, thank you for asking. And here's the key. It was back, I had to be on the other side of you. I feel so off balance. Thank you. I feel so much better now. We are at a moment whereby, with what's happening on the planet, this has been going on. Remember, Sri and I first started talking about this way back when in 2004, when it was very clear that the planet herself was full. She's full. This is like a mother that's got so many children going, God, one of you grow up and help me. I mean, seriously, right? And so our beloved mother Gaia, we're dumping, we're throwing, we're doing, we're abusing. I mean, how much more can she take? She's literally regurgitating. She's trying to take care of herself, and we keep dumping into her. Throw your cord into Mother Earth. That was fabulous up until the millennium. We're in a new time. You know how hard it is to talk about things in a new time because everybody wants to own what was? But way back when, in the early 2000s, it was clear that we needed to walk with our mother, not on our mother, that we needed to stop throwing our own garbage into her and anchor our ascended presence. This is why the container practice was given. If you go to shriankira.com, it's free, it's all free. Go to shriankira.com, right there, Yoga of Self-Ascension. Click down on the practices, learn the container practice. Because what's appropriate is when we use the container practice, and this is what the masters have shared, that when we come to the moment where we are demonstrating our responsibility in recycling energy, we will have attained the level of consciousness that will thereby connect us with the expansion that is here now. Ever walk into a room and you feel awful? You walk in and go, whoa, what's happening in here? Right? Or you walk in after some people have been there and went, oh, whoa, I think I'm leaving, right? Or you walk in somewhere and go, I feel amazing. Well, that's all energy, right? We're constantly sloughing off our energy. We're constantly having these engagements and we don't think anything about it. That's what the container practice is for. That's how the planetary thought body has become what it is. Let us not forget that the planetary thought body right now is the complete kahuna of every bit of energy everybody sloughs off. You're walking around sloughing all the time, not thinking anything about it. Totally okay, especially if you're here to experience density. But I go back to the great Krishnamurti. It is when we awake that we are responsible. When you awaken, you are responsible. And that responsibility is because you are seeing that. Until you awaken, forgive them, they know not what they do. Because the level of consciousness, you're invisible to the level of consciousness that cannot see it.
You know,
Right?
I want to offer a practical suggestion for you, Julie, and for all of us. We were taught or invited to send a cord into the earth. Why? Because we were wanting to either release discord,
Or hold on.
discordant energies, or we were wanting a sense of stability.
And this, I want to interact again. This was totally, absolutely 100% perfect, okay, and great until we hit the great shift around the millennium.
And so take a look at yourself now. If we're requiring some stability, what is it we're really wanting to connect with more fully? It's right here.
Isn't it your heart?
So the next time you're feeling a little wobbly, a
This
little
is your root.
uncertain, feeling like I need a boost, I need certainty, I need to be reassured, which we all need. Hand on heart,
Heart.
conscious breaths.
Heart. It's all heart.
This is the center point of the ascended state. This is the foundation.
Yep.
And the earth, let her have her journey. as you have your journey, and we float together.
Maybe it's our time to let our mother know that she can rest, that we've got this, that we're here for her. Yeah, thanks, Julie. Great question. Jess, anything else?
Yeah, anonymous. What is recommended for city dwellers to embrace the energies on a consistent basis versus waiting to go outside the city to finally slow down and be in the energies?
Oh, well, that's a very important question. And I'm so grateful that you asked. Do you want to start, sweetheart? or-
I've got two
Okay.
practical tips
All
for
right,
you.
go for it.
All right, the first thing is congratulations on asking. That
Yeah,
shows that
thank
your
you.
heart is aroused and you're saying, how do I stay connected?
Mhm.
The gift that was given to me years ago that I honor and want to share with you is no matter where you live, there is sky.
Look up.
Look up, look at the clouds, and then look through the clouds. And using your eyes, you could practice this on the inhale. I sip the light, the
Mm.
cosmic light that is beyond the stratosphere, and I call it in. And I let it circulate in me. Sip the light. And you will find yourself renewed, restored, and your worldly Velcro stuff will start to just dissolve away. The other thing is make sure you have a photo of nature, especially a mountain range, high altitude mountains. Have it in your workplace, have it in your home somewhere. And from time to time, gaze at that photo and smile and connect with the energy of those mountains.
Oh, so beautiful. And number one, you're doing a lot of what we would suggest by being here today, right
Yeah,
now.
Connect with others. Yeah.
Exactly. And the other thing that has sustained me always is to remember that everything around you is your temple. So start in your bedroom, sit in your bed and sit up in your bed, look to your left, and then slowly look around your entire bedroom. And you make sure everything your eyes land on brings you joy. You make sure everything makes you smile and radiate, because that's your sacred chamber. And remember, when we sleep at night, our soul doesn't, your spirituality doesn't stop when you're sleeping. And so how is that sacred space? Let your bedroom be your first temple and make sure everything in it brings you joy. And if it doesn't, get it out of there. And then you move into your kitchen, the heart of the home, where you nourish. Whether it's a wall, whether it's a kitchen, whether it doesn't matter. Whatever space you are creating your nourishment in, does it bring you joy? Do you love it? Is it the colors you love? Are you using things that bring you love and joy? Do you have old pans that are dying, or do you have something beautiful to cook in? What brings you joy, and is it set up that way? And then where do you spend most of your time in your home? Wherever that space is it your temple? Is it your temple? And if not, let it be. Also bring in your water. Running water, you need a small fountain. Always have a small water feature. Always have some live plants, and fresh flowers are not just for special occasions. Thank you. Namaste.
Some more?
Sure.
Okay, Pearl says, namaste. How do people who are struggling to survive on a day-to-day basis awaken?
Thank you for asking, sweetheart. Do you want to begin?
Yeah. Well, first off, I love you.
Yeah.
And I invite you to bring a hand to your heart and say, I love me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing the best I know how. And I accept myself just as I am and as I am not.
Mm.
It begins with loving yourself, irrespective of the conditions in which you find yourself. Conditions change. Love is here. And from that place of, in this moment, I trust myself. In this moment, I love myself. I know that I deserve. I know because I took birth here. I deserve the abundance of this planet. And to be practiced breathing that truth in, because there are thoughts that are creating and supporting a reality that is something different than that isn't as pleasant. And we must begin by loving ourselves, by working with our thoughts. And you find that you will awaken through whatever the circumstances were, and actually discover gratitude for those circumstances because they've stimulated the yearning to awaken.
Mm. And once you've been stimulated, I'm going to poke you to do something else. And that is, you got to get up and you got to do something different. You can't buy into the fact that you're struggling every day. I get it. I was a single mom. I was so broke. I literally, I sold my car, bought a Ford Galaxy 500 at auction because I needed a car. I was living in Phoenix, Arizona in the summer, no air conditioning, and I was as broke as could be. But the passion I had inside of me was that I would let nothing stop me. And I earned my first $1 million 10 months later. And that was because I didn't let anything stop me, because I had this baby. I was living on $2 a week food. So I would go to this really massive co-op and I would buy rice and eggs. And I knew how many eggs I could eat a day. And I would show up early at work to eat the donuts because they were free breakfast. I would show up to use their bathroom because I was so sweated out from my car. But I never let those situations stop me from anything. So much so that when I walked in to get this job, and then they told me I had to pay, and I was like, I have no money to pay, but I know I can do it. I got them to waive all the fees. And sure enough, I set my mind to it. And I'm saying you have to be that clear. I didn't look at how broke I was. I didn't feel sorry for myself. I didn't sit around and complain. I knew I had to take action. And so in that moment, and if you're looking at me and if you're mad at me, good, because I want you to be mad enough to say, you know what, I deserve better, because you do. And I want you to know it's real and you can do it because I did it and you can do it too. So in order to say, how do I help those that are struggling every day? You stop thinking you're one of those. You become a model for those around you. And when that TV starts blasting and those conspiracy theories start coming on and all those politics, which are the greatest illusion of all, are trying to control you, you have to decide who the master is. The only thing that you're struggling with right now is knowing how amazing you are. The minute you know, find your joy. What do you love? What do you love? What brings you joy and passion? And then start talking about it. Start following that dream. And you're going to be amazed at how fast it will turn around. So thank you for letting me share that with you, honey. Namaste.
I love this one. Anonymous asks, what is recommended for younger women to embrace these energies at this time?
First and foremost, thank you for being younger women. We're so grateful you're here. The first thing is find a wise woman mentor and make sure that wise woman mentor herself is healed. Whether it's someone you're finding some around, but find a wise woman mentor. And a wise woman mentor can appear in any age. Let go of linear experiences. As a younger woman, one of the things that I would strongly suggest to you is to not let anyone tell you there isn't anything you can't do. I was the only woman in a Texas Good Old Boys Club, and I was the only one. And there were many times when I was brought in to meet very, let's just say, important people. I was literally introduced as, we got us a skirt. And that's how I would be introduced. And yet I was more successful, made more money, and had more happening there because I didn't ever compromise who I was. I never slept with anyone. I never compromised outside of the integrity of who I am. Hold on to that and don't be afraid to be who you are. You are amazing. Young women, follow your dream, because women like myself and the amazing women that are sitting here with me right now, we've got you. We know what you're going through. We went through it ourselves and we're not shirking away. We're right here with you. So find the mentors that resonate with you. Stay committed to who you are. Don't give up on your dream. Manifest it. Manifest it. And stand strong and be a mentor for your children. Remember, the greatest gift we can give our children is our presence. It's not our words, it's our presence. Model what you want your children to be. Let them learn from you, and then all of us flourish. Did you want to add anything?
No, I love what you shared.
Oh, thank you. All right, we'll take two more, Jess.
Okay, well, perfect. That's what I've got here.
Perfect.
The container practice,
Uh-huh.
this is a sharing, plus the 3 times a day, I allow joyous simplicity in my life now.
Right on.
Declaration from last Monday Magic has
Yep.
carried me through so much this last week.
Oh,
Thank you, thank you, thank you. You all and your wisdom are such a blessing in my life.
Thank you for
Love you
sharing.
all.
Thank you for sharing.
We celebrate you.
Yay.
And to follow up, can you clarify which version and which volume of the I Am discourses to find?
Okay, so this is volume 3. It's just called the I Am Discourses. And we have
It's
a
been
picture
printed
of
many
it.
times.
But it's been, right, but no, honey, it is volume 3, I Am Discourses, and that is at our website. If you go to shrinkira.com, it should be printed there. Yeah, thank you. All right. We did it, but we
Yay!
didn't do it alone. And it's just beginning.
Yeah.
And so in this moment, what we would like to do is really call into presence a way to close this ceremony
Yeah.
and to close this weekend. And the way to do this is to first begin, I think, by sharing with all of the beautiful beings that have been here to make this possible. So any and all of you that want to get on stage are welcome to get on stage. And I'm going to stand down here because I think it's important that you guys see all of them. So all of you that would like to get on stage, you are
Come
welcome to
on
get
up.
on stage. Don't all run at once. But please, you can stay up there, Sri, and maybe.
Yep.
There we are. Just go ahead up.
Come on in
I'm
here.
gonna look at the camera. Everybody's welcome to be up. Who would like to go up? We're gonna need to stand behind each
We
other.
might need 2 rows
We
here.
need 2 rows. There
2
we go.
rows.
All right, Joni's the end. Mimi, you've got to come over by Sri, get behind him there. And let's see, okay. Amara is the end of the frame. All of you are not seen.
Okay,
You have to come in. There we go.
Okay,
Right in front. There we go.
third row, third row.
Yeah, right in front. Right in front. There we go. You're not in the frame. Everybody who's outside of Elizabeth is not being seen. Masha, you're not seen. Zah, you're not seen. There we go. Okay, so Jess, what do you want else? All right. And how about smiles, everybody?
We love you.
We love you.
We are happy.
Hi. And so
Hallelujah.
see where I'm going to sneak in right now. Okay.
Go to mom.
I'm sneaking in. I'm coming right here. And so, hey, everybody, this is what it's about. It's about women. It's about wellness. It's about awakenings. And it is about the one heart that we are. Together, we are better. We love you. Mwah.
And it's about men awakening their femininity. Then they can join the lovely women.
We love you. All right, everybody, say goodbye.
Bye. Join us again. We're your family. We love you.